Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcome back to the Clean Collective segment brought to you by Society Brands. Today, we're diving into clean growth, clear values. We're chatting how Society Brands is redefining the future of wellness. Now, here's something to think about. According to the Campaign for Safe Cosmetics, Americans apply, on average, over 126 unique chemicals to their skin every single day through personal care products. Meanwhile, consumer watchdogs like the Environmental Working Group note that fewer than 20% of these ingredients have actually been thoroughly tested for long-term safety. That's alarming. And at the same time, Gen Z is emerging as the most health-conscious generation yet, with 76% saying they actively avoid products with quote-unquote toxic ingredients when given the choice. And I'll go even as far as to say the millennial moms back that up. That's why Society Brands' mission feels so timely. They're creating a platform where clean, toxin-free brands can grow without compromise, helping founders scale their vision, all the while protecting consumer trust. Joining us now is Justin Sirpilla. He's co-founder and president of Society Brands. With more than a decade in corporate development, M&A, and operations leadership, Justin is the architect behind the firm's corporate strategy, capital structuring, and integration. In short, he's the guy making sure that clean isn't just a buzzword, it's the foundation for growth. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thanks for having me, Zen.
So excited. So let's dive right in. There's a lot to unpack. Why clean growth and founder-first strategies are rewriting the rules in wellness. We're going to dive into that. So I'd be remiss not to ask, why the toxin-free standard, right? Justin, in the US, there are over 40,000 chemicals approved for use in everyday consumer products, yet the American Academy of Pediatrics, this is where it gets me, has repeatedly warned that many of these substances, like phthalates and parabens, pose risk to reproductive and developmental health. Now, I know Society Brands has taken a bold approach, 100% toxin-free, no exceptions. What pushed you to make such a non-negotiable commitment?
Yeah, it's really a multi-year journey, I would say. And each of the kind of co-founders, we each have our own unique path to get here in terms of being committed to this. So I'll share kind of on my unique path. And then we kind of came together and really said this is the new direction of the company a couple years ago. But rewind the clock back, my wife was pregnant with our first kid. He's now 4.5 years old. So call it 2020 timeframe. And she was really starting to think about the things that were going to go in, on, around her body and our future newborn. And she started doing research on red dyes and fragrances and all these things that just contain mass chemicals and are really bad for us. Well, honestly, at the time, I have an accounting undergrad, so I don't have any kind of medical or health background. I thought she was crazy. My wife can worry with the best of them. I love her to death, but she knows how to worry, and I'll tell that to her face. And so, she wanted to eliminate red dyes. Cool. Sounds good. And she wants to eliminate fragrances. Sounds good. Doesn't impact my life at all, but I wasn't really bought in yet. And then slowly but surely, I think collective experiences for me were happening that just started to open my eyes more and more. So we had a friend actually down in Atlanta. She was telling us how she had been trying to get pregnant for 2 years. She had seen every doctor. They had tried every remedy. And they tried everything. And she did everything the doctors asked. And so they had a failed IVF treatment. And really she was losing hope at her dream of, one day becoming a mother. And she read on a podcast that the average female puts on just the crazy amount of pounds of makeup per year and just filled with chemicals. So she went completely clean beauty. And within a month, she got pregnant.
Wow.
Years and years of fertility issues. And it took her a month. And so if you think about that fertility issue that she had was just one manifestation of what was happening in her internal systems from all these toxins and chemicals that were impacting her body. But there's probably any number of other areas in which her life and her health was impacted. She may have just not been aware of it. Of course, she was trying to get pregnant. So that was top of mind.
Yeah.
And so that was just an incredible experience. And then my own personal experience, I had high uric acid levels and started to have gout flare-ups a couple years ago. And I would not recommend gout to my worst enemy. I mean, truly, it is like the most painful thing. And so I went into my primary care physician to see if there was a solution. Within a 5-minute appointment, she wanted me to go on a prescription that I'd be on for the rest of my life.
Ugh.
And so, my wife, who's kind of more health conscious and more committed to this, kind of clean, toxin-free movement at the time than I was, said, no, let's go see a functional medicine doctor. Let's get to the root cause of this. And so I went to a functional medicine doctor. We ran a bunch of tests, found all kinds of inflammation markers in my body. And so not only did we lower my uric acid levels and haven't had a gout flare-up since with just a natural remedy in quercetin supplements, we also did food testing, and we found that I had severe sensitivity to gluten and dairy, cut those out. And so I was trying to lose weight at the time, was tracking my calories really intently, 2,000 calories a day, wasn't losing any weight. I cut those two things out of my life, and I started losing 2 pounds a week like clockwork.
Wow. That clarity of mission is so important, because once you draw that line, consumers know exactly where you stand, right? And you're drawing from your own experiences, which I love. And that's the key here, that everything that you're doing in this company is with such intent. And when you look at recent studies, there's a Harvard study found that founder values are one of the top predictors of long-term brand loyalty. And beyond great products, you're looking for leaders who embody purpose. How do you recognize those founders who are not just building a brand, but building a movement you can stand behind?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for us, the founder component of these brands that we bring onto the platform is critical. We are really looking for founders that, one, are just truly entrenched and bought into this kind of clean, toxin-free movement. And then two, they've found clear product market fit. There's a consumer need that they are solving for in a clean, toxin-free way. The great thing about this movement that we're committed to, which is this clean, toxin-free movement, it's going to be a changing of the tide for all of the products that are in, on, and around our body. And so what we're trying to do is have penetration with our brands of those kind of daily, weekly, and monthly needs. And so a founder that's kind of found that product market fit, they understand consumer needs, they've connected a product and a solution to that consumer need. That's like that entrepreneurial DNA that we need. And a lot of the other scaling things, we have, kind of cross-functional team members, but we like to connect that entrepreneurial DNA with those other, capabilities in our company.
I love that, because a founder's conviction really becomes the consumer's conviction, right?
Yep, 100%.
Now, according to PwC, 71% of small and mid-sized consumer brands cite lack of scale infrastructure as the main reason they can't compete with larger players. So for many, supply chain, data, and financing become stumbling blocks. How does society brands step in to give these founders the backbone they need to grow responsibly?
For sure. So many founder stories start with they have a passion and a purpose, and the product, the consumer need is like the reason they started that brand. And then you start to scale, and you get to, in our industry, I think it's about $10 million of annual revenue. And all of a sudden you have to turn this thing into a real company. It's not just a brand anymore. Now it's a company, and you need HR, and you need all these other back office support. And so the allocation of your time goes from your passion to some of this other stuff that comes with being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. And frankly, they'd rather just stay focused on their true passion. So we have, great cross-functional team members, back office solutions, to even kind of core functional areas like marketing, product development, where we really want to make sure that whatever they are really most passionate about, that drives the most value for their brand, that true authenticity that the consumers fell in love with, we want to get them back to index their time on that and not on these other areas of the business.
Yeah, that's a game changer, because you're giving founders the runway to dream bigger without losing their roots, right?
That's right.
So let's chat guarding consumer trust. This is a big one. The Edelman Trust Barometer revealed that 62% of consumers are more likely to stay loyal to a brand if they feel that the company is transparent about sourcing and ingredients. And in an age of greenwashing, How do you make sure that society brands, that the brands under society brands maintain that credibility and don't dilute that trust as they expand?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things. One, the style of marketing and customer acquisition strategies that we have are inherently about that authentic mission. We're not about the clickbait or the different gimmicky marketing strategies to get somebody to convert. We genuinely want to find a consumer that wants our products for the right reasons. And so inherently in that marketing strategy is something that stays authentic. And then also we're going through our products right now and adding certifications. And then also we're actually in talks to stand up a testing facility where we're going to be batch testing every single one of our products for heavy metals and other things like that that are kind of known to be bad for the body. So it is something we're committed to, and transparency is key.
Exactly. And trust is the ultimate currency, right? And once it's broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild.
Yes.
So very careful around that one. Now, market analysts predict that the global wellness economy is going to top $8.5 trillion by 2027, and clean products are at the center of that growth. What role do you see society brands playing in shaping this next chapter of wellness? And what does success look like to you 5 years from now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually in the process of assembling an entire health advisory board. We already have two participants. One's a nurse practitioner who has experience building brands, and then we have another functional medicine doctor. He actually has his own practice. And so we're actually standing up a full advisory board. And what's important about that is we really want to be synonymous with this kind of clean, toxin-free. When you see that society brands branding associated with the underlying consumer brand that you're interacting with, there's a standard and an authenticity that just is top notch. So we want to become synonymous with that. And then we have this product framework. We call it in, on, and around your body. We want to have clean and toxin-free solutions. So we want to have strong coverage across all of those categories in, on, and around your body. So in would be, functional foods to supplements. And then on would be, personal care, skincare, hair care. Around examples would be cleaning and other solutions for kind of in your home. So we want to have good penetration there, and so we just have end-to-end solutions for consumers' daily, weekly, and monthly needs.
That's so exciting. I mean, you're truly positioning society not just as a player, but as a leader in defining the wellness economy. I'm very proud. Let's chat
That's all.
guidance. Let's chat guidance for aspiring founders. Okay, so last year alone in 2024, nearly 1 in 3 new beauty and personal care launches carried that clean or natural claim. So this is an increasingly crowded space. So for founders listening who hope to stand out or maybe even one day join society brands, what's the smartest ways to build a brand that lasts?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. We actually were having a planning session with our team yesterday, and I reminded them of this. We build enterprise value, and founders are usually building companies to both influence consumers' needs, but then also build enterprise value for themselves. We build enterprise value by genuinely being a part of consumers' daily, weekly, or monthly rituals, genuine product consumption. And so we see brands all the time where they will focus on bundling or improving their initial AOV when they're trying to acquire customers in the hopes that they can scale quicker. Well, the problem with that is that you don't actually have real-time feedback of whether or not the consumer is actually consuming your products. The only long-term sustainable path to growth and to influence and impact more consumers' lives is genuine consumption. You log into Netflix and they have a ton of intentionality around how do they get you to watch one more episode, one more movie. They know consumption equals retention. So I would really encourage focus on consumers consuming your product. That's where you're going to build a brand that they're going to continue to come back to.
That's invaluable advice, Justin, because it's passion that starts the journey, but strategy that sustains it, right?
That's right.
For those tuning in and listening and watching, you can follow along on Instagram at society_brands_ and learn more directly on the website at societybrands.com. That was the Clean Collective segment, reminding us all that what goes on and around our body should be as safe as what goes in it. For more on Justin, you can check him out directly on the gram and on LinkedIn. He's under Justin Sirpilla. And on the gram, he's J Sirpilla. And of course, you could follow our Society Brands page. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeartRadio. We'll be right back after this.